Cambridge House Live. I'm Vanessa Colette here at the CanTech Investment Conference, live in Toronto, and I'm joined by David Baazov, the CEO of Amaya, which is the world's largest online gaming company. Welcome, David. Great to have you here.
My pleasure, Vanessa. Thank you.
Now, David, you recently completed one of the most incredible takeovers the business world's ever seen with your acquisition of the Rational Group. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you managed to make that happen?
Well, I think it was a big lead up. We've done a number of acquisitions over a few years, and we set our sights on the world's largest operator in terms of PokerStars, which was a subsidiary of Rational Group. And I would say our focus from day one has always been about consumers. And their large consumer base of over 80 million users is what attracted us the most.
Right, and you've said the company is not just a gambling company or a poker company, it's a tech company that's consumer focused.
Yes, that's 100% correct. I don't think we're, interestingly enough, at our last AGM, we changed our name from Amaya Gaming Group to simply Amaya. And I think that there's other verticals that are outside of gaming that we can leverage our consumer base with. Absolutely.
What are some of the lessons you've learned in business along the way?
I would say probably the most valuable lesson that I've learned in business was humility. And someone once told me, humility can build you your castle and your pride can destroy that castle. It took me 8 years in business to learn that lesson, but when I did, it's probably the most helpful. I would say second is optimism or confidence. Once you believe you can succeed at doing something, you've already failed.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, there were a lot of detractors that probably told you that you couldn't do this deal. What kept your faith and what made you believe that it was possible?
So I would say that, there definitely were many, but it goes back to that optimism, that confidence. But I would say what helped keep me optimistic was the people that we have in the company. And, it goes beyond just me, but they actually help accomplish everything that we do.
Now, what moment during the deal did you know that you could pull it off?
So I would say that, given the size of the deal, and it was more than 10 times the size of our company when we purchased it, it was very, very late. It was almost at the very end, almost the day that we announced it, that we knew, okay. So I would say that it's not something that our confidence grew over time, but we weren't even over 50% like a month before.
Right. And how did you convince all of these banks to back you in this?
I think that took time. At first, everybody was apprehensive, but I think that over time, they bought into our vision and they bought into what we believe we're going to do with this company in the future.
Now, over the years, I know you've made a lot of other acquisitions. What tells you that this is a great acquisition target, and how do you find those acquisition targets? So,
I would say historically, actually, we've only ever purchased companies that we've identified. Given our acquisitive, given the fact that we've been very acquisitive, we get shown a lot of opportunities, but I believe that historically every company that we've actually acquired has been one that's targeted by us. I think that we look at fundamentals of the business, timing within that industry, and lastly, we look at our ability to execute on the transaction without being distracted. Distraction is something that I would say we probably measure more than most companies.
Now that you have these 89 million consumers, what do you have planned for them?
Stay tuned. I'd say that that's something that's going to be, we're going to elaborate on in time.
Now, you've said that the Rational Group acquisition would transform online gaming. What would it transform it into?
So I think it was a transformative acquisition that reverberated around the industry. Mm-hmm. But I'd say that so far they've already taken certain initiatives from launching other verticals, and now you're taking this business that has amazing customer service, all this operating leverage and operating efficiency, and you're able to go into other verticals with a massive consumer base.
Right.
And I think that over time you're going to see a bigger dynamic or a bigger shift within our space towards a more regulated, as the regulatory process is, I would say, steamrolling ahead nicely.
Well, that's what I'd like to ask you is, I think a lot of people are curious as to what the regulatory environment is like on the online gambling.
It's actually, it's continuing to grow, and you could clearly see that. I would say it's very, very positive. In Europe, you have a number of jurisdictions that are already regulated, and more they're continuously regulating. I'd say that Amaya as a company has over 100 jurisdictional licenses.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Just in North America?
Beyond North America.
In the world.
Yeah, North America we have over 65, and I would say that we have in South America as well as in Europe.
And where do you find it most convenient to work? Is that in Europe? Is that where there's a...
I would say it's, the regulatory process is something that's necessary and good. We continue to push for more jurisdictions to regulate and tax and get their tax efficiency, while at the same time I think it's very positive for the industry and also for the consumers. So we're always going to be on the side of lobbying for regulation. But I would say that from a geographic perspective, the regulatory process in North America or Europe is quite similar.
Okay. Pretty comparable. Now, we've seen the tech sector dealing with some regulatory issues with Uber, Airbnb, and Google. What's your take on just the regulatory environment in tech?
So I think that the regulatory environment in tech is one that's also going to continue to evolve. Technology by nature is disruptive because it'll continue to eliminate barriers of accessibility to consumers. That's what it does, right? Before the mobile phone, you had to, whether it was an email or you'd send an envelope, right? Now you can simply have an access to consumers almost at any time. So it'll continue to evolve, and I think regulation will evolve with it, but probably slightly behind the technology.
Absolutely. Now, there was an investigation, I believe, that you announced in December. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's an investigation that the AMF is doing into the trading, related to the securities of Amaya, specifically as it relates to the transaction of PokerStars.
Okay.
And the Rational Group. And I would say if you look at it, historically there was a stock run-up between March and the day that we announced. So we anticipated that there'd be an investigation, regardless. Okay. We feel that the AMF is doing what they should be doing, and they should be looking into it.
Excellent. Now I know you said stay tuned to what's coming next for you, but I know you want Amaya to be more than a gambling company. Are there more industries you're going to be disrupting, or any more you can tell us on that?
I would just say that at heart, we're a technology company that is focused on consumers. So what we look to do is to leverage technology to acquire consumers, give them the best customer service they want, but also give them what they want. It's not about acquiring more customers to push them to play sports betting, poker, or it's about growing that consumer base and giving them what they want.
Absolutely. Well, David, it was a pleasure having you on today. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.